Picture this. You've been dating her for 6 months. You treat her like a queen. You respect her boundaries. You ask permission before everything. You never push back when she's emotional. You apologize when you're not even wrong. You're the textbook definition of a respectful partner. And then one day, out of nowhere, she says those words, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore." You're confused, destroyed. You did everything right. You were the good guy, the respectful man, and it killed her desire anyway. What if I told you that the very respect you thought would make her love you is exactly what destroyed her attraction? What if I told you that being too respectful, too accommodating, too agreeable is the fastest way to become sexually invisible to her? Millions of men are experiencing this right now. They're respecting women, treating them well, being emotionally available, and watching their relationships die a slow, sexless death. I've watched this pattern destroy more relationships than I can count. Same dynamic, same confusion, same devastating result. Today, I'm going to reveal the brutal paradox that nobody wants to admit. Respect, when done wrong, kills desire. And most men are doing it catastrophically wrong. But understand this. What you're about to learn will challenge everything you've been taught about relationships. This isn't politically correct. This isn't what society wants you to hear. This is the truth about female psychology that will change how you see every interaction. Pay very close attention. Here's the truth men refuse to accept. Women need to respect you to desire you. But if you seek her approval, defer to her constantly, and prioritize her comfort over your own frame, she will lose respect. And when respect is gone, attraction dies with it. This isn't my opinion. This isn't theory from a book. I've watched this destroy thousands of relationships across cultures, across decades, across every demographic you can imagine. Same pattern, same result, different faces. You see, men have been programmed to believe that respecting women means agreeing with them, never challenging them, always accommodating their emotions. Society tells you, happy wife, happy life. Your mother told you, just listen to her feelings. Every movie shows the sensitive guy who validates everything, winning the girl in the end. You internalize this message deeply. You believe that respecting her means never asserting yourself, never disagreeing, never standing firm on anything. But here's what actually happens in reality. The more you defer to her, the less she respects you. And the less she respects you, the less she desires you. Let me show you how this plays out. Man number 1, successful career, good looking, treats his girlfriend incredibly well. Always asks, "Is this okay with you?" Before making plans, apologizes immediately if she's upset about anything. Never disagrees with her, even when he thinks she's wrong. Changes his opinions to match hers. Within 6 months, she's making excuses to avoid sex. Starts mentioning other men. Eventually leaves him for someone who just gets her. Now man number 2. Similar situation. Good guy. Respects women. But when she's upset about something unreasonable, he says calmly, "I understand you're feeling that way, but I disagree, and here's why." When she tries to control his time with friends, he says, "I value time with you, but I'm not canceling on my friends." When she expects him to read her mind, he says, "Use your words." "I'm not a mind reader." She starts pursuing him harder, initiates sex more, becomes more feminine around him, brags about him to her friends. The difference? The first man confused respect with submission. The second man understood respect means holding your ground while remaining calm. And this is why you've been suffering. Not because you're not respectful enough, but because society programmed you to believe that respect means never challenging her, never holding boundaries, never maintaining your own frame. They set you up to become unattractive from day one. But here's where it gets dangerous. Most men, when they realize this dynamic isn't working, don't question the strategy. They just try harder. They become even more accommodating, even more agreeable, even more deferential. And that accelerates her loss of attraction. Here's what's actually happening beneath the surface. There are specific, predictable ways that misunderstood respect destroys desire. Biological programming, evolutionary mechanisms, and modern society has made you blind to every single one. Here's the first thing that kills attraction: seeking her approval before making decisions. Every time you ask, "Is this okay?" before doing something simple, her brain registers you as lower value than her. Not consciously. She doesn't think, "He's weak," but subconsciously, her attraction mechanism recalibrates downward. Men were taught this is respectful. Include her in decisions. Value her input. And for major life choices, yes. But when you're asking permission to see your friends, to pursue your hobbies, to have your own opinions, you're not being respectful. You're being submissive. And submission kills attraction in women faster than almost anything. Think about it like a thermostat. Your house maintains temperature automatically. You don't consciously think about it. It just happens. Her attraction works the same way. When you constantly seek approval, her brain automatically lowers your value. She doesn't choose this. It's hardwired. And the more you seek validation, the more her desire decreases. I watched a couple at a restaurant once. Every decision, he looked to her. "Is this table okay? Should I order this? Do you think I should mention that to the waiter?" She started the meal smiling. By the end, she was on her phone, barely responding. Not because she's a bad person, because her biology was screaming, "This man needs my permission to exist." That's the respect paradox in action. He thought he was being considerate. He was actually advertising his need for her approval. And need is the opposite of desire. You couldn't have known this, because every message you received growing up told you that seeking her input on everything shows you value her. But what it actually shows is that you don't value yourself. Wait until you hear what comes next. The second attraction killer: over-apologizing for things that aren't your fault. When you apologize for her bad mood, for her overreaction, for things completely outside your control, you're not being respectful. You're training her to see you as lower status. Here's the psychology behind this. In any social dynamic, the person who apologizes more is perceived as lower in the hierarchy. Not because apologizing is wrong, but because excessive apologizing signals uncertainty about your own value. It signals that you believe you're probably in the wrong, even when you're not. Women are biologically programmed to test for this. She gets upset about something minor. Watches how you respond. If you immediately apologize and scramble to fix her emotions, her subconscious notes, "He's unsure of himself. He values my approval more than his own judgment." Attraction decreases. Every single time. A woman gets angry because her boyfriend made plans with friends without checking with her first. Respectful response: "I understand you're upset, but I'm allowed to have plans with my friends. I value our time together, and I value my friendships." Both can exist. Result: she respects his boundary. Attraction maintained or increased. Over-apologizing response: "I'm so sorry. You're right. I should have asked you first. I'll cancel on them." Result: he thinks he's being respectful and considerate. She feels a wave of disappointment she can't quite explain. Attraction drops, and it never fully recovers. You had no idea this would happen because society told you that keeping peace is mature. But maintaining peace by sacrificing your frame trains her to see you as someone who doesn't believe in his own value. But here's the sick part. You know what really gets me about this? Society doesn't just teach you to be overly apologetic. It actively shuns you when you're not. Apologize to her. Just say sorry, even if you don't think you're wrong. It's easier to apologize than to argue. They program you to believe that maintaining peace by sacrificing your frame is mature. But what it actually does is train her to see you as someone who doesn't believe in his own value. You see behavior that makes you uncomfortable. You feel that instinct to address it. But every voice in your head says, don't be controlling. Don't be insecure. Just apologize and let it go. So you silence yourself. Ignore the alarm bells. Push down that uncomfortable feeling. And every day it gets worse. Until it becomes undeniable. Until the loss of attraction is so obvious that even your conditioning can't hide it anymore. And then they blame you for not seeing it sooner. They profit from your confusion and then condemn you for the predictable result. But that's not all. The third desire killer. Never disagreeing with her, even when she's clearly wrong. Modern society has convinced you that disagreeing with a woman is disrespectful, that challenging her perspective is attacking her, that having a different opinion means you don't value her. This is complete insanity. Here's what's really happening. Every time she says something you disagree with and you nod along anyway, her subconscious is taking notes. He doesn't have strong opinions. He changes his views to match mine. He's afraid to challenge me. And each time this happens, her respect for you decreases. Not because women want men who argue constantly, but because they need men who have a backbone. I remember watching this exact dynamic in ancient Greece. Different technology, same pattern. The philosophers who stood firm in their beliefs commanded respect. The ones who shifted their opinions based on the crowd's mood were dismissed. This hasn't changed in millennia. Anyway, within relationships, this plays out constantly. She makes a statement that's factually incorrect. You know it's wrong. But you say, yeah, you're right, because you don't want conflict. In that moment, you think you're being respectful and keeping the peace. But her attraction mechanism just registered. He doesn't trust his own judgment enough to correct me. Desire drops. Every time. A woman insists that her boyfriend is jealous and controlling because he expressed discomfort about her ex-boyfriend constantly texting her. Weak response. You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. I trust you completely. Strong response. I'm not jealous or controlling. I'm aware. And if you think setting a boundary about your ex constantly texting you is controlling, we have different definitions of respect in a relationship. The first man thinks he's showing respect by backing down. He's actually showing he doesn't respect himself enough to maintain a reasonable boundary. The second man shows respect for her and himself. He states his perspective clearly without apologizing for having standards. Nobody told you that yielding on everything isn't compromise. It's subordination. And subordination kills sexual attraction dead. Here comes something that's going to make you angry. A fourth attraction killer. Prioritizing her emotional comfort over truth. This is the final nail in the coffin for most relationships. And it's exactly what modern society celebrates as emotional intelligence. Listen carefully. Being emotionally supportive does not mean lying to spare her feelings. Being respectful does not mean never telling her uncomfortable truths. Being a good partner does not mean managing her emotional state 24/7. But men have been trained to believe exactly that. When she's emotional, your job is to fix it. When she's upset, your job is to apologize. When she has an unrealistic expectation, your job is to pretend it's reasonable. This is exhausting for you, and it's attraction poison for her. Here's the mechanism. Every time you lie or avoid truth to manage her emotions, you're telling her subconscious, I don't think you can handle reality. I don't think you're strong enough for honesty. I need to protect you from facts. This is not respect. This is condescension disguised as care. And women's biology detects it instantly. Woman to boyfriend. Do you think she's prettier than me? Weak response. No, baby, you're the most beautiful woman in the world. Reality. He's lying. She knows he's lying. Attraction decreases because he just demonstrated he doesn't respect her enough to be honest. Strong response. She's attractive. You're attractive. I chose to be with you because I'm attracted to who you are entirely, not just your appearance. Reality. He's honest. She might feel a moment of discomfort, but her respect for him increases because he treated her like an adult who can handle truth. A man who lies thinks he's being kind. He's actually being patronizing. The man who tells calibrated truth shows real respect for her ability to handle reality. And that's what creates lasting attraction. You couldn't have known this because society romanticizes comfortable silence as the goal. But silence built on unspoken truths is absence. Absence of polarity. Absence of tension. Absence of desire. But here's what nobody tells you about any of this. Society wants you confused. They feed you poison wrapped in progressive language. Her. You deserve a man who respects you completely. Translation. Find someone who never holds boundaries. You. Real men respect women. Translation. Real men subordinate themselves to women's emotions, and then they sit back and watch. Relationships end. You're devastated. She's confused why she's not attracted anymore. Both of you blame yourselves. And the system profits from selling you the solution. Therapy, courses, books, all of it built on fixing a problem they created by teaching you to equate respect with submission in the first place. They don't want you to know the real truth. Because if you both understood that respect and strength must coexist, that attraction requires polarity, that desire needs tension, the entire narrative collapses. So they keep feeding you the same lies. Be more understanding. Be more accommodating. And when that predictably destroys attraction, they blame you. But once you understand how respect actually works in attraction, everything changes. The attraction wasn't gone because you weren't respectful enough. It died because you confused respect with deference. Because you thought being agreeable was the same as being strong. Because society programmed you to believe that never challenging her was the path to her heart when it was actually the path to her indifference. Think about this. Every man who criticized you for setting boundaries, what was his relationship like? Every woman who said you needed to respect her more, did she actually respect the men who did? Every piece of advice that told you to suppress your opinions, where did that lead you? The answer is clear. The people who told you to ignore your instincts weren't giving you wisdom. They were giving you the recipe for becoming sexually invisible. And you can't follow their advice and expect to maintain attraction. Let me make this crystal clear. Respect in relationships is essential, but respect is not submission. Respect means treating her as an equal capable of handling your honest perspective. It means maintaining boundaries while valuing her input. It means being emotionally supportive without becoming her emotional hostage. It means challenging her when she's wrong while remaining calm and grounded. The men who understand this create passionate, lasting relationships. The men who confuse respect with constant agreement end up confused, sexless, and eventually alone. So what do you do? First, understand that being respectful and being strong are not opposites. They must coexist. You respect her by being honest, by maintaining your frame, by not lying to manage her emotions. You show strength by holding boundaries while remaining emotionally grounded. Then, stop apologizing for things that aren't your fault. Stop seeking her approval for basic decisions. Stop agreeing with her when you genuinely disagree. This doesn't mean being an asshole. It means being authentic, having opinions, maintaining standards. And finally, understand this isn't about games or manipulation. This is about becoming a man who respects himself enough to maintain his frame while respecting her enough to be honest. That's what creates the tension, the polarity, the desire that lasts. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot maintain attraction with someone who doesn't respect you. And you cannot earn respect by constantly deferring, apologizing, and subordinating your judgment to hers. If you continue down that path because society told you it's the respectful thing to do, you'll continue getting the same result: comfort without desire, appreciation without passion, love without attraction. This is what I've observed across thousands of years of human behavior. The men who maintain their frame while treating women with genuine respect create relationships where desire lasts. The men who believe respect means never disagreeing, never challenging, never holding firm watch attraction die and wonder what they did wrong. The choice is yours. Continue believing that respect means submission and watch your relationships follow the same pattern. Or accept these uncomfortable truths about female psychology and start creating genuine attraction based on mutual respect where both parties maintain their frame. I'll be watching.